Right, today my wife's asked me to do a little job, what she says is a little job. A lot of tradesmen get this. They say it's half an hour's work, but then you get to the job, first you've got to drive there, get your tools out, figure out what's going off. But I actually built this wall. This is a stud wall, so you got your wooden timbers coming down. I can't remember where the stud work is. This is a brick wall where it's dot and dabbed, so it's plasterboard adhesive, and then there's a gap like that, and the plasterboard. So that's going to be tricky. My wife, she's been out and bought these poles. She wants these poles just like fitting across so she can hang her clothes. But these are actually oval, which means it's even trickier to fix. If they're round, you can just put the fixings anywhere. But these, I don't know if you can see this, but these are the kind of screws and fixings that you get with it. So not only have I got to measure loads and loads, and I'm just going to make sure that these are like perfectly straight, otherwise you'll end up with like wonky oval poles. But I'll put these to one side, and because I don't know where the timbers are, I can't fix them into the plasterboard because she's got about 80 kilograms worth of clothes to hang on these poles. So I'll just quickly show you. And plus as well, I mean, many tradesmen know this, you turn up to a job and everything's still in the way, so I've got to tidy all that lot out of the way. All this, I've got to tidy all that lot out of the way. But yeah, what you do, get a magnet. This one's, I mean, it's nothing special, but it's powerful enough. Put it in a little bag or something that it's not going to mark the wall, and you basically just, there you go, straight away you just rub on the wall and it stays, or it basically sticks to the screw or the nail that's holding that up. So if I just put a little mark above there, and then I can kind of get my reference points off that. So yeah, if I go up, oh, there you go, there's another one. So I'll put a mark there, so you can see the marks just about. So there's one there and one just above it. So now I can at least make a start. I know where the piece of timber is, so that will be my starting point. So if I start this side, try and get some measurements from the ceiling and the wall off that, and then I'll have to mimic it this side. But yeah, you turn up at people's houses and you have to deal with all this before you even start. We've moved all this out of the way, so I've got some clear working space, but I've just realised from, I don't know if you can see, basically that line comes down here, but if you offer that up, you're just going to be left with loads of wasted space. You want that over as much as possible. But I've just been around with the magnet scanning all around here, and from what I remember, this plasterboard is actually over the timber which is behind, because this is like, the wall was that wonky, we had to build the wall out, so the piece of timber I was hoping to screw to as well is behind there, because although that would have been there, I could have cut a piece of timber, anchored it onto that joist and this one, and then we could have fitted the pole anywhere across here to try and not lose as much space. But I'm just gonna have a think of what to do, because I could perhaps put a board all the way down and make it strong enough so it can hold that a bit closer in, because it's a shame to waste so much space. I think that's about 6 inches. So I've managed to find some of these pieces of wood off the old wardrobe that my wife took out. So what I've got to do with these, I'm not going to cut them down or anything like that. It's going to be a bit tricky, but we know where this joist comes down. I'm just going to hold that up onto there where the mark is, put it straight with the wall, and run a line straight down there, and we'll take it back outside with a square edge. That's marked up. We'll get it out here on this 10-minute job. for about 3 hours. That's the line, highlight all them. This is really tricky. I need to get some kind of, can you hold that for us, babe? Can't assume things. So there, countersunk marked up. I'll offer these up with some 3-inch screws. Just hope that they don't come out the other side, which are all good. So carry on with these. That's that anchored in. Let's get you. Let's have a look. So that's like that, and now I can now put this so we're not losing that gap at the back. And that, I mean, that should be more than plenty to hold that on. Also, now that piece is on, I'll do the piece lower down because it's going to be a rail at the top and a rail a bit lower down. I'll do the rail at the top first, so now that's on, I can get all the measurements and mimic them over there. I'll put it on time lapse now. I'll perhaps do another video of how I'm going to solve that, because as soon as I drill through this wall, it'll go straight through the plasterboard. There'll be a gap like that, and then I'm going to have to drill into the brick behind it. So I think that'll end up being 4-inch screws, but then you have to be careful when you're tightening them up, because it can, whatever you fix into the plasterboard can actually pull it all the way through, and we don't want that. Right, these two are up, they're solid now. Although there's only 3 screws there, because it's wedged tight against that wall. Any movement gets stopped because it presses actually on the plasterboard. The next challenge, because these are oval and not round, if they were round you could just fit them anyhow, but I had to put it up there, put the first mark in, move that away, get the spirit level, mark it, then put the holes directly on that line. And to match them up, I'm going to have to get my longer spirit level to go off that top line, bring it down to that, and then I can mark that up, and we'll get these fixed on. The fixings that come with the brackets are no good. We're going to be hanging, well, my wife's going to be hanging about 40 kilograms, possibly more, of clothing on each rail. So these are 1.5 inch, 8 gram or size 8 screws, so we'll get them on. There'll be tradesmen all around the world that know exactly how I feel, where it's just a 10-minute job in someone else's eyes. I'll get a picture of all the tools I've used in a bit. I keep putting stuff down and I can't find it again. So let's grab these screws. Just get a handful of screws on here. So just hope that's okay. Right, so now that's up, I've got to get a measurement from this to that and because of the metal, I'm going to need a hacksaw or angle grinder. Something I've overlooked completely is this socket, and I put this socket in, and I know 100% that the cables, I mean in a normal house they generally go down, but these, they had to go up because we've got concrete floors. And I don't know if you can see, basically that is it, the cables will go about there, and we're marked up to match up the other side, what, an inch and a half to the left, but my cable clipping, because it was a dot and dab wall, these cables could be ever so slightly out, and I don't really want to risk drilling there and punching straight through the cable, which it might not do, but if it does, we've got a hell of a lot more work. So I'm gonna have to find some more timber, and I can fix it this side, fix it the other side, and then we know that we're 100% clear of these cables. So yeah, just a bit more work to do. Right, so after that 10-minute job, I don't even know if these are level. Not really. I can adjust them, but I mean the old arse is wonky towers. I could do with some slight adjustment. I'll see if Paula notices. So yeah, next time you think it's a 10-minute job, for you it probably is, but for the person doing it, what's this, been about 3 hours? Yeah, it turns out Paula did notice that they were slightly off, although the arse is all wonky. So if you just look, I've just dropped it down a tiny bit. So you're happy though, aren't you, babe? Yeah.
Happy.
There you go. 10-minute job, 3 hours. This is just some of the tools I've used today. It's the fixings that come with it, they're just no good, so I used the minimum of 3-inch screws. Use a set square. This one's actually from Wilco's, which I think is going bust soon. Side cutters, magnet, spirit level hammer, countersunk, angle grinder. You know, it's just, the list is endless. But yeah, my missus, she was like, don't take you 10 minutes.